again with CM Simple Studies. And today I am sharing with you our choices for this coming fall, this next school year. It'll be our 8th homeschool year, and I'm really super excited. I spent a lot of time researching and just trying to figure out what we wanted to do this coming year. And I'm really excited to share all of those amazing resources with you guys, mainly books. It's always books, right? Okay, so first, I did want to announce a little something. I have a new Simple Study. It's called Simple Studies Just So Stories, and it's based off of the Rudyard Kipling's Just So Stories. It's not ready yet. It's not in the store. I have an amazing event coming up on the 31st of May, and it's called A Simplified Year. And I've joined a ton of contributors to help you simplify your school year next year. This event's only going to happen for 3 days, and Just So Stories is going to be available to be purchased in that event. So if you're on my email list, you will get notified of the event. It's going to be amazing, and you're just going to be blown away by all of the amazing contributors and everything that they have put together for this event. So let's move forward with all of the amazing things that we've chosen for our next school year. First, this is it's my moleskin. Literally, it's this little thing. I don't buy the big planners. I don't go out and get the custom stuff. I'm simple and free and simple studies for a reason. I really love using simple tools that help me homeschool. So I literally just keep all of our plans and kind of our logbooks and all of my notes in a simple moleskin. It's super easy to carry around if I ever need to. Let's go a little bit into Bible and stuff. So I do want to share with you guys that we are Charlotte Mason inspired. That has been our homeschool for years, but we are extremely eclectic in our choices. We really enjoy breaking out of the box. We're entrepreneurs as a family, so we really like, if you're familiar with the Thomas Jefferson education, we've followed that for years as well. We incorporate a lot of classical methods too. So when you see all of these books and all of these ideas, first, just know that I still have to pre-read a lot of these. I pre-read most of the books that we read through during the year. And then, so we'll have a 7th grader and a 3rd grader. So Form 3. That's new for me. And then a Form 1A upper. So that's the Charlotte Mason speak for, the forms and the grades. I really believe that our children have specific strengths and abilities and passions and curiosities. And the older that they get, the more ingrained those become and very apparent. And I really want to support my specific children in their unique passions and interests and how they learn best. That's the beauty of homeschooling. So when you look at a lot of these books, just know that they're not going to, be required to read each and every single one all the way through. I will be reading some aloud, especially for my daughter who is still, in her learning journey of learning how to read. And then my son, he will be able to choose from a lot of these books, right? So when we're talking about World War II, I have maybe 4 or 5 different options, whether it be novels, nonfiction, fiction, and he will get to choose some of those. So this is enough talking about all of that. I think you guys get what I'm saying. I really, really like to hone in on my children's strengths, right? So let's go with that. I will explain more about that later as well. Strength-based homeschooling is a big thing for us. So focusing on the strengths. This little book, The Practice of the Presence of God, is something that I will have him read. This took me 30 minutes to read through. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I do have The Savior of the World by Charlotte Mason. So Charlotte Mason created poetry based off of scripture, right? So this is kind of one of his poetry options. Another book that we found was really awesome is called It Couldn't Just Happen, Knowing the Truth About God's Awesome Creation. So this will, again, kind of more free reading for him. I do have my Bible commentaries this year, the Acts and the Apostles, and the Joshua and Judges. And we will be working through those slowly, but also I still haven't read completely through this devotional with our children. So that'll be a fun morning circle time. Something different this year too is I'm splitting it kind of into, we are still doing 3 terms, but I'm kind of breaking it into 2 chunks, the fall and then the the fall and winter go together, but then the winter, spring into another one. And there are 2 big topics we're going to be focusing on next year as a family. It's going to be really awesome, and I'll go into that a little bit later. We'll go back to history. I'm losing my place. I am done with school, guys. I'm ready for summer, so I apologize if I'm a little off today because I'm like, I love all these books, but also pool time. Okay, so The Ancient World, my son will be reading through this. This is one of the required readings, I believe it was, for Charlotte Mason students around 7th grade, Form 3. We are going to continue reading through our island story. However, I'm going to be looping in my daughter, the Form 1A upper. Let's see. So biographies, I think, are next in history. So he'll have a few choices. The story of Napoleon. The other thing is we went through history to about 1800 this last year. So we're moving into all of the big wars at this point. World War I, and we have not covered the Civil War in depth, so we'll be doing that as well. And then also World War II. I'm ready to fully immerse at least our Form 3 student into some of those horrific stories, and let him really soak in a lot of the writing that is out there based on those events. Okay, so then we have Saints and Heroes, and then Lincoln is another option. I also have The Boys' War for Civil War. I don't think I brought that up here with me. So, I gathered a ton of picture books as well that will be supportive of those events and times in history. And you can find those in my Amazon store. I am linking everything for you that we are using this year and or choosing from. Just remember, we're not reading all of it. So some of the fun other novels and stuff that I have for him to choose from. This is New West Press, The Red Badge of Courage, and Gettysburg by Landmark. We also have, he's going to be choosing from these. He won't be reading every single one probably. The Winged Watchman and Number the Stars, very quick read. And I picked up some really fun reads that I'm curious to see if he picks them up and flips through them, or if he just reads through them in one day and it's just supplemental reading. Great Battles for Boys. I've only read the first few chapters. They're fine. I don't know if they would totally 100% qualify as a living book. I'm just going to be honest about that. However, they are written in a style that is appealing to boys, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So the more the reading is happening, the better. And these look really fun too, History Smashers. Again, I want to make sure that our kids aren't rolling their eyes when it's time to do their readings. So sometimes you can run into that no matter what. But if you're giving them options, living books as well as some fun independent free reads as well, I think that's really a good way, at least for our family, that has worked really well. So when they're excited to sit down and do their history readings, that is a goal. And then sit down and write in their narration notebooks or tell it back. So this is a new author, Alan Gratz, that I discovered and I'm really excited about. He's written several books. Some of them are actually based on true stories. So I just want to be careful and say that, if you're a true diehard Charlotte Mason fan, you probably won't be reading these, but maybe for kids who in their free time are interested to dive deeper into these history stories, those books are great. And then going into our novel, I know there's a lot of love-hate relationships with these, but I bought the whole set of Nathan Hale's Hazardous Tales. Right? Yes, that's his name. And it's like, he's got a whole series. Again, those are not going to be required reading. Those are going to be sitting on the side in a basket and available for free reading, supplemental. Just fun stuff. Okay, and then we have novels to choose from for the year. We have Journey to the Center of the Earth, and this is again Form 3. All those books I just covered obviously were for 7th grade. Animal Farm, I believe Ambleside Online recommends this for year 7 or even year 6. This is just one of the like you need to read it books. Obviously everybody needs to read George Orwell at some point. And then this one was from the CMEC. They recommended The Eagle of the Ninth, and I think it's going to be a delightful novel that he will enjoy. So let's see. I think I'm going to go into a little bit of, here, I'll just show you his poetry. So we've got Beowulf, okay, and then he's going to continue the Lyra Heroica book that we have. These are some of his favorite poems that he reads or that he read last year. That is my dishwasher. My dishes are clean. Yay. Okay, that's probably gonna beep again. So I guess I can go into this. Yes, I can go into this. So the first section of our year, the first semester, I guess a lot of people would call it, still clean. If you can hear the beeping in the background, so the first semester is going to be, we're gonna be covering Asia. In fact, in our homeschool community, I will actually be teaching notebooking through Asia, and I'm really excited about it. Some of the books I'm going to show you today are going to be used in that class. But here, I guess I will get that out. One of our main history reads for our morning circle time is going to be Marco Polo. And I know that this is usually covered in like 2nd, 3rd grade. And we did do some reading about Marco Polo, very brief, but we're actually going to be reading through his travels and adventures. And we're going to be, I also brought out 30 More Famous Stories Retold because we were going to read this year and we didn't. All of the history reads that I did with my daughter were different than pulling this book out. And Heroes in Hope, The Simple Studies, covers the first 50 stories by James Baldwin. These are the 30 more. And so, yes, I probably showed that to you guys last year saying we might do this year. We didn't do it. That happens all the time. But for the Asia, going through Asia, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, I don't have the book with me, but we're going to be reading through that. This is such a teeny little, literally you could read this in one little sitting. A Grain of Rice, most people have read that, especially if you're familiar with things like Sunlight. And then I have these illustrated stories from China, India. I'll be picking and choosing from those. And Japan, The Peeps of Many Lands. This is the Japan book. Oh my goodness, I picked this one up, I think on Etsy. It's just, I love it. And then I do have some other resources that we're using for Asia and notebooking and whatnot. But going into the novels for my 1A daughter, 1A upper, Ginger Pie by Eleanor Estes, that was recommended. Some of the books that I read for my son when he was in like 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, I picked back up. Mary on Horseback, some things that tie around the 1800s and early 1900s is what what I was aiming for. We're going to be doing the Green Fairy book this year. We've gone through so many fairy tales and whatnot, but this one specifically, let's see, they have, Lang has assembled stories from Spanish tradition, Chinese tradition, and so I felt like this one kind of really went with our theme this year of going through Asia. And then we're going to be reading Heidi this year. Sorry, that doesn't really, it's one of the older books. I think these were my husband's when he was young, so super sweet. Okay, and then I'm starting here with the Ambleside Geography series, the British Empire and the Great Divisions of the Globe, and we are starting on lesson 30, which is Asia. So that's good. That's geography. Let's see. I'm gonna kind of go back into, let's see, a little bit of our like language and things like that. So my son really still likes Minimus. we went through the first one. So this is not expensive. The actual workbook that the students use, they're really great. They're really, really good books. I'm trying to find. So basically they're translating from Latin to English, and you are reading through it with them a little bit, and they have activities and whatnot. It's these the teacher's resource books that are a pretty penny. So I only invested because they're working and he loves it, and he asked, can we do the second one? And I said, sure, not a problem. And so this is something that Classical Conversations uses, our mother tongue, and this is grammar. So I believe that our son is also, so that's the other thing, is when you talk about all of our curriculum and books, something a lot of us don't touch on are our homeschool communities and what our children are doing at, in those classes and whatnot that maybe aren't covered at home. He's taking a novel writing class, he's doing improv. What else is he doing? I mean, he's doing Asia, with me, and then I'm also teaching a logic, brain teasers, and escape room class. So, oh no, I didn't bring it, but the fallacy detective, we'll be going through that this year. Okay, and then for our daughter, I'm going to possibly be working through this with her. There are a couple more resources I might put in my Amazon store that I'll be working through with her that kind of will help her format and structure her writing and her sentences, and I'm really excited. They just haven't come in the mail yet, sorry. And she's really enjoyed these. The draw right now, they're not necessarily super scientific or anything. They're just very straightforward, and for students who really like to draw, they're super simple. Just, this is how you draw this and this. And if you've ever watched any of my Instagram stories, sometimes she's sitting there doing this while I do the little video. I don't recommend it for your nature study. I would recommend something like Simple Studies for that, and actually going outdoors. But it's helped her formulate her sentences and whatnot. And then she's also from The Good and the Beautiful going to be doing the typing one. My son did that around the same time of 3rd grade. Let's see, math. Sometimes math is the only reason people watch these videos is like, what is everybody doing for math? I'll be continuing with this this is the second one, and we'll be doing the 3rd one for 3rd grade. These are great. These are the elementary arithmetic from, you can get these, I think, at simplycharlottemason.com. And for supplemental, I always print off extra things for my daughter to work through. So I did download, it's absolutely free. And then just print these off every now and then from The Good and the Beautiful. And again, see, look at the illustrations. It's with our theme of Asia. I have not told you about our second theme that we're doing next spring. And then our son is still in Saxon, so he loves it. He works through it independently, and I don't have to bug him. He just sits down and does it every day, and when it's working, don't change it. Okay, so for some of the extra things that we cover, for Plutarch, I'm really excited to try this year. This is from Charlotte Mason Plenary, and we are going through Julius Caesar this coming year, and it's gonna be great. So let's see, and I also, it's funny, because these, let's see if I can pull that off. I can, kind of. It's the Young Reader's Shakespeare. I have the Julius Caesar one coming in the mail. This one's Macbeth. The whole point of Shakespeare, in my opinion, is just to expose them so that they are interested in the stories and they kind of understand what's going on. We love these. This is the Usborne. My daughter will be, reading through these, or I will with her. And these are, I still have these coloring pages. I've had these for years. And the kids just like to color these sometimes when they're listening to the audiobooks or just to the stories aloud. So this is also New West Press. We have done Charles and Mary Lamb stories, and this one's by Edith Nesbit, the beautiful stories from Shakespeare. I've not read through the Edith Nesbit versions before, but these are so beautiful. So that's exciting to get into this year. And okay, so I'll talk a little bit about like our picture study. This is from a humble place, and the artists of the, I don't even know how to say that, Yuan dynasty. That makes me sound really intelligent. I am so sorry, you guys. So the whole point is you gather all of this, and then I spend the whole summer like looking through it and planning and whatnot. So this is one of our picture studies that we will be doing in the fall, and it goes with our Asian theme. And then my son, for his 7th grade picture studies, actually he's going to be reading through architecture. And I am really excited about this. And we actually have a resource coming up in our March 31st event, A Simplified Year, that has an architecture resource. So that's thrilling as well. So hand crafts, I've got soap carving. I know, super exciting. After you've done all the Sloyd and the clay, paper Sloyd, and you've done clay and you've done watercolors, sometimes it's fun. Well, I guess watercolors is more art than handcrafts, but the weaving and the crocheting and the knitting, after you've done all of those things, it's fun to just try some other fun things. So soap carving it is. And I still love these books for our music study. We're going to be studying Brahms. I forgot who our other 2 composers that we're going to be studying are, but I threw this one in our stack because Brahms is one of them. And then for poetry, or poet study, I should say, Emily Dickinson and Edgar Allan Poe. Gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun year, you guys. Okay, I think I've got 2 more things to show you. We're in the science realm now. We're getting a microscope. I've never owned one. I'm a very simplified person. I don't like having all of the trinkets and tools and baubles and whatever. But we are gonna have a microscope and a bunch of slides for the students, for my children to use this year. And my son will be reading through Men, Microscopes, and Living Things. And so we're going really small and really big. So This Wonderful Universe is recommended for his age as well, and Objects in Motion. This is actually a really quick, super simple read and very thin. But he went through liquids and gases and matter and energy last year, so the next one is kind of broad, big things. So another thing that I found, a resource that I found that I did not know existed out there, was, if you're not familiar with Eric Sloane's books, they're incredible. They are extreme living books. And this year, our 7th grader is going to be going through the weather book. Instead of just reading it though, because sometimes just picking up something and reading it gets a little dull, I'd found on Sabbath Mood Homeschool, she has a weather guide, and it's based on Eric Sloane's book. So I am really excited for him to independently, for the most part, work through this while I'm working with my daughter on some other things. And then I have, for the 2nd semester, after he's worked through weather, hopefully he's worked through weather event. I mean, I think there are 18 lessons, so that should be about the 1st semester. She also created a biology one, and I think these are gonna be great. We aren't taking any science-y classes right now in our homeschool co-op, so that'll be helpful. He will continue reading through Life and Her Children. And then once he's completed with that, Winners in Life's Race. So this is an Arabella Buckley book. And if you're not familiar with her main series, her Eyes, No Eyes series, that's also something to check out. Our daughter, our Form 1A upper 3rd grader, I will be reading aloud Archimedes and the Door of Science because I'm going to, and I want to. And then also for her nature study, I'm going to, in August, be releasing Among the Forest People. So this is the last Claire Dillingham Pearson book that I will create a simple studies guide on, and I really hope you guys all enjoy it. And there have been a lot of you guys that are like, so when are you gonna release Forest People? Because that's the one we want. And I waited this long because I have learning North American animals. That simple studies guide has been out. That was my first one, and it has a ton of North American forest animals, and I didn't feel like duplicating it, but this one's just hanging on. So August, it's coming out August, guys. So you can look forward to that you will be able to use this coming year, and we'll be using it too. I think, okay, last but not least, super excited. Let me get a little drink, hold on. I did not want, our children are growing so fast that by the time my son's in high school, he's gonna look at me like I'm a crazy person if I try and cover this topic while he's in high school. Hopefully not. I mean, hopefully he's always open to learning and discovering new things and enjoying the process of his education. However, I feel like there's kind of a probable cutoff date for learning about dinosaurs. So I am really excited to share with you guys. This is by Jeannie Fulbright, who creates Apologia. This is her Rumble Tumbles Through Time. I've not read through it yet. Some of the illustrations aren't my absolute favorite. However, I love Jeannie. So I'm hoping that the story really flows well as a read aloud. And of course, you have to have, supplemental reading and whatnot. The Great Dinosaur Mystery and the Bible. We believe we're creationists, so we believe that God created the earth, he created the dinosaurs, and there's a lot of mystery that revolves around dinosaurs. So Dinotopia is just kind of fun. But the other resource we will be using is the Good and the Beautiful's paleontology. And I hope you're excited for next school year as well. If you have any questions about anything that I shared today, or just anything in general about homeschooling, I am here to help. And this is like my passion. I love it. And I really think that if we hone in on what our kids love, how they love to learn, and we need to enjoy it ourselves as parents. We need to enjoy this journey as well, because it shows when we don't. It shows when we get bored, and that really rubs off on our kids. So as long as we're excited, there's no doubt, hopefully, that our kids are as excited as we are as well. Thank you for watching. Again, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have an awesome next school year.